So the responsibilities, like we try to understand what is a client and what is a server, and what are the rules and responsibilities of a client, and what are the rules and responsibilities of a server. We try to understand all these things, right? So and I have developed one web application. I deployed it into what? Server, Apache server here, right? So and we have seen how a client can make a request to that server and all, right? So basically, if you see this communication again, as we described, as I described previously, so this is what is I did, right? So there is a browser through which I can send a request to the server, right? So this is what request, and server can send a response back to the client browser, and both server and client, right? This web server and client uses a protocol called as HTTP protocol to make the data exchange, hypertext transfer protocol. So if I say this, right? So client always connects to the server, and after that the client sends a request, right? So this is request. After client makes a request, and then server is going to take this request and after like and send the response back to what? Client. Response back to what? Client. So this is what we have did. Instead of when I send a request like a login.html or welcome.html kind of things to a server by using its IP address and all, server has located that file, and that file is simply sent back to what? To the client browser, and the browser is displaying the content to the end user, right? So that is what we did here, right? So that is the thing here. Now still today we'll try to understand still more internals about this server, client and servers here, right? So that we'll after that we try to understand what is servlets and why these servlets are given for us. So what these servlets are going to do for us, we try to understand, right? So it's a very important discussion. So it is a continuation to the previous discussion here. So a client is a software or anything which always makes a request, and a server is one which always sends the response back to the client, right? So different servers are available for us, and at the same time you have different clients are available. So when we talk about web servers and web clients here, web clients are nothing but browsers, and web servers, you have different web servers are available, right? So they communicate by using a protocol called as HTTP, and they exchange the information like HTML documents, right? So if you clearly see this responsibilities of a server here, what responsibilities a server is having? Typically a server will have two major responsibilities. What two major responsibilities a server is having here, right? The first responsibility is take the request, and the second responsibility is what? Send the response. This is what the server's responsibility. Accept the request which is coming from the client, and send the response back to the client. These are the two major responsibilities we'll have when you talk about server responsibility. These are the major two responsibilities, right? So what if you see the internals of this request, what actually this request means? How a client is going to make a request to the server. What is the meaning of this? Take the request, right? So always a request will be sent from a client to what? Server. So what is the meaning of sending a request? How a client is going to make a request to the server, right? So a client uses an URL pattern. Always a client uses what? A URL pattern to send the request, right? As we discussed here, a URL pattern includes what? Protocol, address, port numbers, optional though port number is, and resource name and all resources, right? So in the case of yesterday's example, what is it? HTTP is a protocol, right? And / address, right? So localhost, because both are running in my machine. Again, this is optional. Port number is optional actually, not required, but for our applications it is required because my server is configured in this location. Then my application name, my website, something, right? So then afterwards, then my resource name, some welcome.html, something I did, right? So like this, I have a request through a browser. Through a browser, I made my request by using a this kind of request. This is the request which I send through my browser to a server. So here it is a protocol, it is a host address, this is a port number, and this is a resource which I, as an end user, which I would like to access from that particular server, right? Okay. Now, so what actually the server's responsibilities here? This is the client's responsibilities. So whenever you take this internet kind of example, so this request will be made over what? A network. This request will be made over a network. This request and responses will be transferred over a network. So your machine should be physically, your machine should be connected to that network. Through that network only that request is made to what? The server. The first responsibility is what? Request. So if you see the clear, if you still describe this request, there are two things will be there in this request. What are the two things here? Because this request need to be handled over a network. If the request is to be handled over a network, so you need to have a network programming. So there should be a socket level programming. Sockets means in Java we do that network level programming by using sockets. It's not simple, right? A system need to be connected to a other system over a network. If it is connected, so first of all this network level coding should be handled, and that is also the responsibility of what? Server. The first responsibility to in the request, there are two tasks again. The first is to handle the network level coding, right? What is the meaning of network level coding? Let's suppose now there are multiple clients. Here I have one more client. It is also making the request to the same server. The server should return the response back to this client here, right? So like this, if there are multiple clients are making a request to the same server, right? Let's suppose if you take a Gmail kind of application, now through my machine I'm making a request to Gmail, somebody at the same time, somebody from some other machine making a request to Gmail. Like this, at a time there may be hundreds of thousands of requests may go to Gmail. Now while it is giving the response, it should actually give the response to the same machine. Let's suppose if I log in by using my username and password, the response should come to my machine only, where I logged in. At the same time, if two users are logging to a Gmail application by giving their user IDs and passwords, so the first person who gives the request, the response should be sent back to the same person, same browser. Assume that both are logged into this server, both are made a request to the server at the same time, and the response should be, the appropriate response should be returned back to this user, as well as the response, the exact response should be given back to what? This user. If it is ABCXYZ, the response should be given to this one, ABC's inbox and all. If it is some other person's inbox, it should be given back. How it is going to know all these things? If both are logged into the machine at the same time. So internally there should be some kind of mechanism. It should know, server should know. If the server should send a response back to the client, first of all server should know the request is coming from which client. Throughout this universe, there are millions of machines are connected together. The server need to identify the request is coming from which client, and it should send the response to the same client. Otherwise it is not possible. How it is going to handle, how it is happens here. So as we discussed, every machine in the universe will be given a unique address, and the addresses should be sent to the server, and they should be handled, managed. The first level of coding is this one, socket level programming, handling the network level coding. That is the responsibility of the server only. The second level of coding is what? Right, the second level. So once this socket level coding is done, handled, managed, the second level is what? Your application level code should be executed. Right? Your application level, let's suppose I am giving username and password. So first of all, Gmail need to understand from which client and all it is coming and all entire information related to this client. Again, that if I give a ABCXYZ some username and password, this Gmail should check whether this user exists with this application or not. This application level coding also will be there, executing the application logic. That is the meaning of request processing. If it is simple static pages like welcome.html and login.html, nothing to do here. Simply take the request, locate that file, send that file back to what? To the client. That is fine. That's it. Getting me? Yesterday whatever we did the same thing here. We have developed our website and we placed this website into the server, because all our static documents, when a request comes, just locate that file, search for that file in the server. Server is going to search for that file, and if it is identified, then it simply sends that file back to what? To the client. It's fine. But if that request need to be processed, take the username, take the password, then check with the database whether the user is exist or not. Then if the user exists, then give a response dynamically. This is a question. This is the thing here. Generating the response dynamically. What does it mean, generating the response dynamically here? If the user exists, then send a inbox kind of a response back. If he is not exist, send the response saying you are not authorized, you are not allowed, your username is wrong, password is wrong. That response should be generated what? Dynamically. Yes or no? If it is static documents, directly identify it, send it back. But if it is, the response should be generated dynamically. How the response should be generated dynamically here? Are you following me what I'm trying to explain here? It's a very regular thing here. If you simply type, let's suppose google.com. If I simply type google.com, there is one page will be fetched from the server, it will be displayed. But when I type some text in the search page, and if I send this text back to what? Google server, it should receive that text. Based on that text, it should format the response. It should generate the response, and this response will be dynamic. It is not static. Getting me? Whatever the responses we are getting these days, whatever the web applications we will be seeing, lots of the web applications what are used today market, right? So they are going to generate you what? The dynamic responses. And generating the response is also a huge task. So there are two major responsibilities I can say when a request is processed by the server. First, the server level coding, socket level coding, network level issues and all. Then the second level coding is your application level coding, where you take the data from the user, then according to the data process some logic inside it, and after processing it generate the response. What does it mean generating the response here, and how this response should be generated? If it is simple static HTML page, no problem, no need of generating it. But it is not always works. If it is static, then what is the meaning of static pages? The response should be generated dynamically. And this response should be generated dynamically based on the user's input given. Let's suppose if you take the Gmail kind of application, let's suppose it provides you lots of beautiful services. You can set your individual settings, personal settings. Like you can apply some themes to your mail page. You can arrange your inboxes and all, right? So you can set your personal themes at the background. Now when a request is given, when you send your username and password to the Gmail server, what it should do here? It should generate the response dynamically according to your personal settings. That is one thing. Or it should generate the response, right? It should generate the response. Let's suppose when I logged in, it should generate the response according to your username and password. And this response will be different from user to user who is logging into the machine, because my inbox content will be different and other person's inbox content will be different. The response should be generated dynamically. Generating a response is not simple task, right? So the application should generate the response dynamically, and whatever the technology we have seen in the previous session, like HTML kind of technology, which cannot do this. Processing the request dynamically as well as generating the responses dynamically, it is not possible with that technology whatever we have discussed. HTMLs are HTML is a technology where you can use this to develop a website, but this is always static. It is not dynamic. If it is static means what? What is the difference here between static and dynamic? Static pages, if millions of requests comes to that page, every client sees the same content. That is static. Dynamic means request to request, time to time, the response may change. That is what dynamic. And developing such kind of dynamic pages is not possible with what? Is such kind of technology here, right? So this HTTP protocol is simply to transfer the data. It's fine. Transferring the data, hypertext transfer protocol, it is fine. But if these things should be happened in the server, if these kind of things should be happened in the server, taking the request at the time of request is made, generating the response dynamically, these are the extra functionalities. These are extra functionalities, right? When you develop your kind of applications, and these cannot be done by what? The existing web servers. Web servers are what? Simple servers. Web servers are very simple. What they do? Web servers implement the HTTP protocol, and when the request comes, identify the resource and send the document back. That is what HTTP. What is HTTP is going to do here? HTTP is going to do what? Hypertext transfer protocol. Simply they send the request. This protocol is simply transfer the data by using this. So what is server's responsibilities here? A web server responsibility is to take the data, identify that page and send that page back to what? Client. It cannot, the web server cannot generate the response dynamically. Whatever the web servers we are talking about, they cannot generate the response dynamically. They are simple, static. They can be used to service static pages. They cannot generate the responses dynamically. The HTTP servers we say, in simple, HTTP servers. Apache server is one kind of HTTP server. Now if I want to do this, so what I require here? If I want to do this, what I require? So to the existing HTTP servers, where I don't want to see the static data always when a request and response comes, there should be some kind of extensions to what? These servers. The server cannot do anything here. There should be some kind of extension to these servers where the request can be processed dynamically and the response can be generated dynamically at the time of what? End user's request. And this is not possible with these basic HTTP servers, and what? It cannot do all these things. So there should be some kind of mechanism where the request processing and response generating, in technically response generation should be what? Dynamic. Response generation should be dynamic. So when the client request comes, according to the request, generate the response back, and the generated response can be given back to what? To the client. Again, HTML document only in simple, but this HTML document I want to generate dynamically. But these dynamic HTML documents cannot be generated with this existing HTTP servers. So require some kind of extensions to the existing servers so that that extended technologies can generate you what? Dynamic web pages. And after generating that web page dynamically, simply that web page can be given back to what? To the server, and the server can send this response back to what? Client. Are you getting what I'm trying to say here? Are you following me? It's a very important thing to understand. Without this, you cannot understand a single line, a single piece of what? Servlets. Right? So there we require some kind of extended technologies, right, to this existing servers, right? So simply you can say as what? Server side extensions. So in olden days, actually, clients are also there are in previously there are some kind of clients where the code will be executed in the client side only. Applets, one of the Java technology which is equal to that. When a request is made to a client, the server is not going to execute anything. Simply it is going to send that the data to the client. Client is going to execute it. That is applet kind of programming. It has drawbacks here. Now it is a different thing we are going to see. So what is the client responsibility here? Nothing but browser's responsibility. A simple thing. A browser is going to send a request and which is a user interface. A browser is a user interface, a view. It is nothing going to do these browsers these days. Whatever the data which is sent from a server, they are responsible for display that. That is the responsibility of browser. Apart from this, the browsers can do some kind of scripting languages. As part of these browsers, you can use, apart from HTML, you can do some kind of scripting in the browsers. A simply browser is a software which is displays the content to the end user which is sent from the server. That's it. Apart from this, it can have some other coding you can do at browser level, client side coding. Nowadays, whatever the browsers clients we are getting, they are simply responsible for display the content. Entire process will be happened at what? Server. Right? So there are some kind of server side extensions we require. So before servlets, we can say there is one kind of server side extensions are there, which are called as CGA scripts. CGA scripts, what they do here? So these CGA scripts are extensions to these existing servers to generate the responses dynamically. Once the response is generated dynamically, and this response will be given to what? This server, and the server will send this response back to what? This client, and client displays it. CGA scripts are there, but these scripts are having what? Drawbacks. The first major drawback with the CGA scripts is they are platform dependent. What are they? They are platform dependent. And with each client's request, so this CGA scripts will be executed when the client makes a request. Then the CGA script, the process will be created, and once this process is created, then it is going to process it, and then after it is going to send. When a request is sent, then it is going to create one process with each and every request. Like this, let's suppose there are 100 requests are coming from the CGA script, it is going to create what? 100 processes. And after creating the process, it is going to what? Take that request, service that request by sending what? A response. So it has drawbacks here. It is dependent on a platform. The second thing is, because every time with each request one process will be created, it is not scalable. Scalable means what? At some point of time, the application performance will be degraded. And after coming the request, the process will be created here. After coming the request to the server, the process will be created for that particular client, and then it is going to generate the response dynamically. There are some drawbacks. So the Java answer to this is what? Server side extensions is what? Servlet. So what is a servlets here? Servlets are, in simple, servlet is an server side extension. What this specification, what is this technology is used? So this technology is used, developed by Java people as a server side extension to the existing HTTP servers to generate the request and response, to generate the responses dynamically by writing Java programs. So what advantages we will have? The first thing is Java programs are not platform dependent, they are independent, right? And with each request, Java kind of programs will not going to create a process here. With each request, these programs are not going to create a process. Internally, it is uses some other different mechanism here. It is thread based, and these servlets are ready. So they, before client makes a request, they are already available in the server. So they can be already available before client makes a request here, and they can directly service a client when the request comes. So it is not possible with the CJ scripts. When a request comes, it is going to create a process for that client, then it is going to send a response. But before client request comes, there is the programs. These programs can run in the server. When a request comes, they can directly service a client here by giving a response. So Java answer to develop these dynamic web pages is what? Servlet. So again, we are not going to do anything here. Whatever we did in the previous section, right? So we have developed our website. There's the first thing by adding some kind of web resources together. In the previous, I just shown you HTMLs only, right? So it is also the same thing here. Servlet is not a new thing here. It is a web page. A servlet is a web page, but it is dynamic web page. Why it is dynamic? So it is going to generate the response dynamically when a request comes from the client. So the response will be dynamic, right? So again, what is this servlet here? A simple Java program. What is servlet? A simple Java program which will be executed. So how can you define a servlet here? So first of all, a simple Java program which is used to generate what? Dynamic, which used to generate dynamic web pages, and this program will be executed when a request comes from a client, and executed where? Executed in the server. This is entirely different whatever you learned till date. So this is entirely different kind of programming here we are going to do here. Now if we clearly describe here whatever the definition I have given, so servlet is a Java program which resides in a server. Up to now we have written our programs and we are going to, we compiled our programs, we executed our programs. This is not the mechanism we are going to do here now, right? So what is a servlet here? Servlet is a Java program which resides at what? Server. Which resides at server, right? So this program will be stored at server side. And the question is, when this program will be executed? When this program will be executed, this Java program, this program will be executed at the time of client makes a request. And the question is, who executes this program? It is the responsibility of the server to execute this program. And once this program is executed, and this program can generate you what? Dynamic response, right? So servlet is a simple Java program, resides at server side and executed by the server and all. Now, if you define the roles of programmer, then as a programmer, what are your roles? Can you define what are your roles here? As a programmer, right? If you talk about your roles, your roles and responsibilities are very simple. Develop that Java program, right? This is the first thing. Develop that Java program and compile the Java program, whatever you develop. That is only the responsibility of you. Write the Java program, nothing but servlet. And what second thing is? Compile this Java program. Second thing is, the third important thing is deploy this Java program. It means what? Place this Java program inside what? Server. Host this Java program inside server. These are the three major responsibilities. You are not responsible for creating the objects for these programs. You are not responsible for executing these programs. The entire responsibility of executing and maintaining the life cycle of this program is whose responsibility here? That is the server's responsibility. These are the three things you are going to do here. What we did here previously in the same thing, when we did with programming with HTML, I developed the HTML page. Though HTML is no need to compile here, then I place these pages into what? The server. But Java programs are different. So you need to develop your source code, then you need to compile your source code. After compiling your source code, host this Java program inside what? The server. Then afterwards, you are not responsible for maintaining its life cycle. This is not there in your hand. It is entirely the life cycle of this program will be maintained by the server. This program will be executed automatically when the request comes, and the server is going to execute it, and lots of things will be done by the server only. Now this is what your responsibility. So I can say what? So it is whatever we did in the previous like core Java kind of applications, we have developed the applications and we have executed the application wherever you required, whenever you required. But it is not the case here. We are going to simply develop the applications, but we are not responsible for executing these applications. This entire responsibility is given to what? These servers, web servers. Right? Getting me what I'm trying to say here? It is very important to differentiate the roles and responsibilities. There are different, because it's not simple thing to understand. Lots of things are there inside it. So as a programmer, what you are going to do, as a server, what it is going to do, as a client, what it is going to do, different softwares, different programming languages inside this. All things you need to take care. You are not you are least bothered about client side, but while learning, while developing your applications, you need to know about client side. At least once you develop your application, you must be in a position to test your application. Without that, you cannot go with it. Right? So here, this is your responsibility: develop and host it in the server. The server is going to maintain the life cycle of it. And the very important point here is, so these servers, how these, I am saying what? Servlets are what? Java programs. And if you want to execute a Java program, what is required? If you want to execute a Java program, what is required? Virtual machine is required. Without virtual machine, Java program cannot be executed. So the Java programs cannot be executed by using these HTTP servers, because they know these HTTP servers are simple. They are responsible for locate a web page and send this page back to what? Client. That's it. Is this web HTTP servers are able to run your Java programs? No, definitely it is not possible. These HTTP servers cannot do. So to the existing HTTP server, there should be some kind of special software attached to each, which is going to maintain the life cycle of what? Your Java programs. There should be some kind of container. There should be some kind of special software or container which should be responsible for maintaining the life cycle of what? Your Java programs. That is what we are talking about, server-side extensions. Right? So the server is simply responsible for handling HTML pages, but the server cannot manage what? The Java programs. Not possible, because they are Java programs. If you want to run Java programs, you require a virtual machine and Java runtime environments and all. Right? So here you require a special container here, which is responsible for what? Executing the Java programs. So which is responsible for, in simple, managing the life cycle of what? Java programs. And these special softwares are, we call them as what? We call them as what? Servlet engines or servlet containers. What we call them? Servlet engines or servlet containers. What is the responsibility of these engines or containers? So you required a servlet engine. So what is required here? You required a servlet engine or container which is going to maintain the life cycle of what? Java object. So what is this here? I can say these engines and this engine is what? It is a special component you can think about, right? Which is extension to what? To the existing server. So where your Java objects lifecycle, where your Java programs will be executing. Servlet engine, right? So this is a special requirement, special thing which is required, right? So now my question is very simple now. Can I use all web servers? Can I use all web servers in the market? You have different web servers are there. Different companies comes up with their own web servers. You have IBM servers, you have Microsoft servers, you have Sun People servers, Oracle servers, right? All companies have their own servers. Now my question is, can I use all these web servers to run my Java applications? Can I use all these web servers to run the Java applications? Right? You cannot use all these web servers. Why you cannot use all these web servers? If you want to run a Java application, you require a servlet engine. So if a web server which comes up with the servlet engine, you can use that web server to run your Java applications. IIS, you can take Microsoft server is there, IIS. There you cannot run your Java programs because it does not contain any servlet kind of engine. It is an extension to the existing servers. If that web server has this servlet engine, then you can use these web servers to execute your Java programs, servlets. Otherwise it is not possible. right? So whatever the server we are using for our right these sessions is the same kind of thing here. That is what server we are using here. Here we are using a server called as Apache Tomcat. What is the meaning of Apache Tomcat in this? Apache is a web server and Tomcat is what? The servlet engine. Tomcat is a servlet engine and Apache is a web server. So this Tomcat is the servlet engine which is attached to what? A web server called as Apache. So that it can use what? It can run the Java applications as well as what? Normal HTML pages. So if you want to understand this more clearly, just let me show you one diagram, simple diagram I have here. So this is what here is the typical application server, right? So client, nothing but web browser, makes a request. This is the first thing. It is received by HTTP server. Now you can see there are different locations in the HTTP server. So here you can see some plain documents, some kind of HTML pages, and here you can see what the second one is servlet engine, where your servlets will be executed. Compiled servlets you will have here, and apart from this you will have some other engine, JSP engine, that we will see later. If the request is coming from a client to a plain HTML document, now what is going to do here to execute to send this HTML document back to what client? No special requirement. Simply it can locate that HTML document and simply it can give this document back to what client. But if the request is coming to a servlet, now what is this? First request goes to the server, HTTP server. First the request goes to HTTP server. If it is the request for a Java program, this request will be simply forwarded to what? The servlet container, nothing but servlet engine, right? Then your program will be executed here. This is the third step, right? Just forget about this JSP, right? So then your program will be executed. This is the third step. After executing your program, whatever the result is generated, this result simply given back to what? Dynamic result will be given back to the HTTP server. This is the fourth step, and this response will be given back to what? To the client. Fifth step. If you have a JSP, this is some 8-step process. If you have servlets, enough. Request to the server. If the request is for plain documents, simply the server can respond back. First statement, from the server itself, the HTML page can be given back. Second statement, request and response. But if it is a servlet, this request will be taken by a HTTP server, given to a servlet engine. It is going to execute this servlet, execute it. Then once your servlet is executed, once your servlet comes up with some kind of a response, that is the fourth statement which is given back to the server. This server is going to give this response back to the client. The difference here in this plain documents and this servlets is what? Simple. This is static, always comes up with the same data. They are dynamic, comes up with what? Dynamic responses. That is the difference you have. Remaining everything is same. Are you following me? What I am trying to explain, very important thing to understand, because it is not a simple thing. It is a combination of lots of things here. Simple document, right? Are you clear? What type of applications we are going to develop and how they are going to be executed? Are you clear here? Right? Now what is your responsibilities as a developer? What are your responsibilities as a developer? So servlets are Java programs. Create a Java program, right? Compile this Java program and place this Java program inside a server. That's it. You are not responsible for executing. When a request comes, this program will be executed, generate the response, simply this response given back to HTTP server, then it goes to what? Client. That is what you have here. So are you able to understand here? So what type of servers we require? The servers which has this container. The servers which has this container. You can use all those servers which comes up with this servlet engine or container to run your Java servlets. If that server which does not comes up with the servlet engine, you cannot use it. It's not that all web servers will definitely contain the servlet engines. No, absolutely wrong. Right? So this is the kind of applications we are going to develop here. Right? Now let me try to develop one application. Right? So my responsibilities are same. Previously whatever I did, I have designed my website. After designing my website, I placed into the server. Then when a request comes to the server, server is responsible for sending that response. When a request comes to the server, server is responsible for sending the response back. Now same thing, but instead of HTML pages, now I am going to have what? Java programs. That is the only difference. Yes? Shall we do it now? Let us try to do the same once, whatever I did, but instead of HTMLs, I'm going to do with Java programs. That is the only difference. The technology is changed here. I'm using a different technology to do the same task, whatever I did in the previous. Right? Now here, this is what here you have. Now I'm going to do the same thing, whatever I did yesterday. Right? Now coming to the Java, whenever you want to develop your web application, right? Coming to the Java, as we have seen, right? So a web application is a set of web resources. I can say what? A web application is a set of web resources. A web resource can be a HTML document, it can be an image, it can be a video file, it can be a Java program itself, it can be anything. And combination of all these web resources is called as a web application. And coming to the Java based web application, whenever you want to develop a Java based web application, right? So you have given a particular structure need to be followed by a Java programmer, right? So as it is a combination of lots of things combined together to clearly differentiate all these resources, there is a standard structure is defined. Standard folder structure or directory structure is defined by the Java people to clearly differentiate these different types of resources. Right? Now that is the first thing as a programmer you need to do. Right? Whenever you are developing your web application, first you need to create your directory structure, folder structure. Right? So this is the structure I am going to give here. So this is simple folder structure. You have some set of folders, right? This is called as what? A root folder, base for your web application. In my yesterday's example, my folder name was my website. Is the same thing. Any name you can take here. A root folder, a top level folder you required here. Where this top level folder is split into multiple subflow folders, I can see. Yep. So this is the second folder you have, which is responsible, the name of this folder. So apart from top level folder, whatever the names I am writing here should be fixed. You cannot change these names. This is the second folder you have. This is called as what? Web-inf. Stands for web information. The name should be same. Top level folder can be any name, that's your choice. Then in the webinf, you will come up with some other folders here. This folder structure looks like this. All are folders here. Just I am giving the folders first. So there is a name for this folder. Classes. What is the name for this folder with all small letters? Classes is the name of this folder. And the one more folder, its name is lib. Apart from these standard folders, you can add absolutely, you can add some other folders also, but these must be their standard, right? So now root folder, inside a root folder you have a subfolder called as webinf, right? So inside webinf you have folders called as what? Classes, and one more folder called as lib. These are the folder structure. You must create them. Root, it's your choice. WebINF, classes and lib. And the one more very important, right? File. It's not a directory. It's a file. It's not a directory. It's a file. Its name always should be web.xml. You cannot change its name. It is not a directory. It is a file, XML file. It should also be placed inside WebINF folder. It should also be placed inside what? WebINF. But it is a file. So this is what standard directory structure. You need to create your directories. For simply differentiation of what? Why these folders are given? Why these many folders are given? For you is simple. Differentiating different content. Right? So the root folder is where you can place, in the root folder where you can place, right, some other folders, your source codes, right, again this is some other folder, or you can place the HTML documents, or you can place the JSPs, or you can place some images, everything, whatever you want to place, all you can place related to your web application. This is a folder. You can take source is what? A folder. It's not mandatory to have a source folder. Generally, it's not required actually. Source folders nobody keeps inside a web application. The sources will not be kept actually. But images, if you want to have images separate, if you want to have your style sheets, CSS files separate, if you want to have your JavaScript separate, all you can separate in the source root folder. It's not that always they should be here only. That is not a rule. It's not that all this stuff should be always here only. It's not a rule. You can place anywhere. But the most possible location for them is what? Root folder. And this is where, this is the folder where you will have your compiled Java sources. You will have your compiled Java class files. What are they? Dot class files. They are called as what? Servlets. This is where you place your dot class files, right? So servlet is a program. After you write it, you compile it, and you need to place your compiled source courses in compiled format of your sources, nothing but dot class files into this location, classes folder, right? Now I'm going to, now this location is meant for to add jar files. Jar is nothing but, as we discussed in the JDBC, it is a group of some other classes. It is a group of classes, jar files. Let's suppose through your Java class, if you want to interact with a database program, absolutely fine, because a Java class, as we discussed previously, through a Java program we can use a JDBC API to interact with what? Database. So it is also possible with the servlet also, because servlet is also a Java program. Through this also we can interact with the database. And whenever you want to access these databases, there are some other source class files are required, and these class files need to be there in your library. OJDBC6 in our case, it should be there. The location for such kind of third-party libraries. This is the location for third-party libraries, and this is the location for your web application classes. This is the location for your class files, and this is the location for some third-party class files, jar files. And this is the one file which is said as deployment descriptor. What is it said as? This file is said as deployment descriptor. Very important file, this XML file. But in the latest versions not required though. In the latest Java release, like servlets releases, it's not required, right? Deployment descriptor. This is called as what? Deployment descriptor. This is what we have here. Deployment descriptor. So file name is deployment descriptor. What is the meaning of deployment descriptor? We'll see. So this is what you need to do as a programmer. This is the first task you need to do. Create your directory structure for separating different types of files, for clear separation of different files. So Java people has suggested us one kind of directory structure, and your application need to be specified in this kind of a directory structure. Because in the previous I did not do it, because I did not develop any Java based web application. I did not do any Java kind of web application. so that I did not use everything, entire code as entire stuff I placed into the root directory itself. But if you want to go with Java based web application, your directory should be, your web application should be organized in this way, and different locations are for different files for easy separation the things. Simple, right? So this is what I'm going to do. Did you understand? This is simple directory structure. Did you understand this? Now let us create our files then. Right, so let us create our directory structure then. So shall we go for a new directory folder, or shall we take the existing one? So let me create all my directory structure again in the same place where we have worked with the previous. Yeah, new, no problem. We go with the new. So previously I have created my web application structure. What is the name of it? Okay, fine. It is my website, my first website something. Now, new. See, just I am creating the folders. What is my folder name here? That's your choice, whatever the name you want to give, right? My, let me keep all small letters so it is easy for me to remember. My first. So later, don't take these kind of big names, it is very difficult to access website. This name is my root folder name, or my servlet website. It is simple. I'm removing first, right? My root folder is ready. New folder. See, this kind of example, this kind of practice I'm going to do for the first time only. From the next time you are not going to do this mechanism, because from the next example I'm going to use the IDEs. So whenever you use the IDEs, you will not see IDE is going to do all which is required for you. This is the first time I'm showing you. WebINF inside what? My my servlet website. New. Because if you don't have IDEs, this is how you need to develop your application. If you have IDEs, nothing is required. No need to remember anything actually, whatever I discussed. New. One more folder. Inside what? WebINF. Lib. And one file called as what? Its name should be web.xml only. You cannot take any other names for this. The names must be same. Apart from root folder name, remaining all names will be same. It's not possible. If you change these names, it will not work. Remember this. This is the standard which is given. And it's not XML document, it is a text document. This is the reason I am saving it. Now this is an XML document. I have XML document. This is not XML. Right? So according to our discussion, my folders are ready. I have a root folder with name my servlet website, web information folder, classes folder, library folder, web.xml. Time being, everything is empty. Nothing is there inside. Right? Nothing. Yes. Now, the first thing is, just open this web.xml file. Nothing need to do. This tag must be there. The simple tag web-app and close it. What is the meaning of this? We'll see. Web app. Nothing I'm going to write. Save it. Done. Now I'm going to add one HTML document to this. I'm going to add one HTML document to this, to my web application. So it is a combination of multiple resources. New HTML, removing entire HTML, right? What is it? Head, optional though. Head, title. Now just I'm trying to add some resources inside this. Title, some name, welcome. It's done. Then body part of it. Right. Just oh. Close this body tag also. Just I don't want to write a welcome to what? Solids. It's not a Java program. It's not a Java program. Let me save this with a name called as welcome.html document, right? And what would be the location for this HTML document? Root folder. I'm directly saving it into my root folder, right? So you can see this structure here. So this is my folder E. This is my web application folder. Inside this, I directly saved my welcome.html. Right? Fine. If you want to add some other resources, absolutely fine. You can add how much content you want to add. You can add. Still lot more web HTML files you can add into this. Right? So as we discussed, now this is one resource I have. It's fine. Now I am going to develop a Java program for the same. This is static HTML where it is always can be accessed with directly its name, right? Now okay, fine. Now before adding a HTML, before adding a servlet to this existing one, now I am going to deploy it. What I am going to do here, I am going to deploy it, host it. Now if you want to deploy it, first of all your server need to be started. Now I am starting it. Previously we have seen, go to the location where your server software is installed. C, program files, Apache, Tomcat 6, bin, executable file. Run it. Why twice it is running? No, twice I clicked, I think. Fine. Your server is started. Now you can see the message here. Right? Now in the previous, what I did is, I just placed my web application directly into what server. I copied it in the previous. After started, I just copied my web application. I pasted it directly inside what? Web apps. Right? I directly pasted in the web apps here. Okay, it's already there with some other web application is there with the same name. Let it be. Right? Now I'm going to change my web application name because already there is one web application with the same name. E. What we take here. Okay, I'm taking its name as 1. You cannot modify because it is opened. That's fine. Right? So my servlet website one something here. I have added only one. Now how I am going to place it? So it is where I have my application inside E drive. Now if you want to host a web application, it should be placed into the server. Previously I have copied directly this web application to the web apps. I told you that is I did previously, but it is not the correct appropriate mechanism because each and every server will have different locations. As I told you, different servers are given by different companies, vendors, and each and every server stores these websites into different locations. If you don't know the location, you cannot copy and paste it. Yes or no? Previously what I did, I have opened C and I went to Apache, Tomcat, web apps. Because I know the location, I directly copied it. The same thing I can do here also with this application, But if you don't know the location, then what is the case? Right? So for this, now I'm going to do one thing here. There is one more way is given to you to do this. Let me access my website, http:// because my server is started at the backend running inside a port number 9090. Now I'm trying to access my server. My username is admin and password is admin. Now I can see here. So these are all the websites. These are all what? Sites which are hosted inside this server. Now I'm going to do what here? Now if you scroll down, now if you don't know the location, now through this window you can deploy it. See here you can see deploy. The server is also providing you one way, because if you don't know the location, simply you can take your file, you can take your website and give this web browse here like this. Browse, take your website, select your website, and you can simply say what deploy. Now when you do it, what it's going to do here? If you don't know the location, the server is going to take your website and it is going to place that website into that location. Getting me? Are you following me? If you don't know the location, if all servers support this mechanism, this is console deployment, we say. Console. So in the server itself, it is going to ask you where is your website. Just you can select it and you can click on deploy. So what it is going to do? It is going to take your website from your location, from E drive or somewhere, and it is going to place it into its server. Right? Are you following me? And if this is the advantages, because if you don't know the location where you need to place this into the server, then you can go with this mechanism. Following me? Just see here, browse and deploy. Now I'm going to do the same thing here. Now I'm going to browse and deploy it. Where is my web application? It is inside E, and select it. Right? But it is not taking my entire web application now. Is it possible for me to deploy entire my web application? Now let's suppose here, very simple example. Now if you take a Gmail application where you want to attach the files, there are 10 files to be attached. If they are different, you will select them what? You will attach them differently. If all these 10 files belongs to the same, then what you do? Just I want to attach the files to my Gmail. Let's suppose 10 files I want to attach. Now how can I attach the 10 files? One by one? Okay, fine. Only one way you have. Okay, fine. Zip it and attach it. That is the best way. That is you do. If your content is same content, all the 10 files related to the same, then zip it and attach it. You cannot attach like this. And here my web application is what? My folder. This entire folder, whatever the folder I have in my E, represents what? My entire folder is one web application. It is a combination of lots of different files. It is a combination of lots of different files, but it is what? One web application only, right? Here you can attach what? One more HTML file. Like this you can have lots of still more web resources, but this entire, all these files together is one web application. So if you want to upload it, you need to bundle all these things together. Right? Now I am going to do the same thing here. I am going to bundle all my web application content into the one single file. Zip kind of thing only I am doing. Already we have did previously jar file. Right? So zip kind of thing, that means what? I am going to bundle all my resources into the same web application, into the same folder, and then I'm going to upload it as a one single file. Getting me what I'm trying to do here? Not a miracle here. CD, my web application is this one. What is the name of this? My servlet web application, is it? It's not my servlet web application. Where is it? Okay, it is directly inside what? E. It is not in online classes, right? Yeah, this is my web application, right? Now, this is the root folder. Inside it, I have all my content, right? Now I'm going to group all my content. See, dir. What I'm going to do here? Web.inf, web.xml. Inside web.inf, I have some other folders and all. So I'm going to use a command, Java command, to bundle all these things together. Jar. Jar is the what? Bundle. To bundle your different content into one file, we use a command called as what? Jar. Now jar create. C stands for what? Create file. F stands for file. Create file. And what files are added? If you want to see how many files are added, you can use V stands for verbose. Verbose is the backend process it is going to show you. Now what is the name of the bundle you want to take? That's your choice, whatever the name you want to take, but I'm taking the same name, my servlet website 1, right? So I want to bundle all the content into a one file, and the name of that file is what? My servlet website 1, and its extension is var. Var stands for archive, zip kind of thing, web archive. Jar stands for Java archive, var stands for web archive. Getting me? Right? What content you want to add? Entire content from what folder? What I want to add from this folder, this is the folder which I have created. From this folder, all files I want to add, and I want to group all these files into one file called as what? My servlet 1 dot var file. Let me do this now. See here, what are added? What are added here? Web.inf, web.inf classes, web.inf library, web.inf web.xml, and one HTML document called as welcome.html. Now nothing is there. All are added into one simple bundle. I just zipped them. I just added them together. That's it. Added. All these things are added into one file. That file is what? My servlet website 1.var. Fine. Just you can see it's a physical. It is something like a zip file. Open this. Now you can see this file. Var file. Just a zip kind of thing. You can open it. No problem. You can open it. Open with C web.inf. It's a WinRAR software only I am using to open it. Web.inf classes lib web.xml and welcome.html. All are same. I bundled all these things into one file. Now I am going to upload this file. Getting me? Just I zipped it, and now I am going to upload that single file here. And this deployment will accept you to upload a var file only. There's a reason why I bundled it. A var is nothing but a bundle of web resources. All web resources bundled together is a var file. Browse it. Now where is your var file? E. In my servlet website. Now this is my var file. Open. Now single file contains all your content. All your content is now stored inside this. Yes. Now deploy it. Okay, are you able to follow me? Are you able to follow me? What I'm trying to say here? Nothing. All content of my web application, because my web application is not like previous one. It has lots of folders inside it, lots of other stuff inside it. So I'm bundling all these into one file called as var file. And this is the syntax you have to bundle the things. Go to the root folder. In the root folder, write the command like this, and that's your choice. Whatever the name you want to give, you just give this name. Same thing. Now I'm going to do what here now? I'm going to deploy. Deploy means what? Place. Now here, okay, you can see okay means what? Your application is safely placed into the web server. Your application is placed into the web server. Now see that my servlet web application 1, right? Yeah. My servlet website 1. Right? Okay. Are you able to follow me? See where this file will be copied. Where this will be copied. Now go to the Tomcats web apps folder. Now yesterday we did, right? Copy the folder into the same folder, Apache Tomcat. Open this. Now see this, my servlet website 1. Where is it? In web apps only, right? Yes or no? Previously I did the same thing. The hosting means what? Placing your web application into the server. Previously I directly copied and pasted, but I just followed a different approach for this. Now here see, my servlet website. Now if you want to see clearly here, if you want to see more clearly, this is the Tomcat console, right? See here, you can see a message, deploying web archive called as what? Fine. Now let us do all. Whatever I did, let us do all. Now the first thing is, in the previous example, whatever we have seen in the previous case, I directly copied my web application, right? From E drive, I directly copied it. Before that, let me delete this, which is deployed now. I am deleting it. Delete. Yes, yes, I delete it. When you delete it, what happens here? Now you can see in the server, what happened in the server? Undeployed. Deleting from the server is called as what? Undeployed. It's not the new thing I'm explaining, guys, right? Yes or no? Placing is deploying, removing is undeploying. Now previously what I did is, go to the E, directly take this. I'm just deleting this cut. Let's suppose I'm placing this var file into what? D location now. Now fine. Now E, my website, cut it and directly place into what? This is also called as deployment. This process is also called as what? Deployment. You can see at the back end. Just when I place my web application into this Tomcat's web apps folder, just paste it. Okay, because it is opened in this edit place, it is a problem. Oh, it's entirely gone. I just cut it, I think. No problem. E. Yeah, my servlet website. Copy it and paste it in the what? Tomcat's web app folder. Where is the Tomcat's web app folder? E. See? Deploy. Yes or no? Directly copied and pasted. Or this is called as hard deployment. Now I can see undeployed message here. Undeployed, yes. This is the one way. We did it in the previously. Hosting is placing your web application. The second way is, now you can do this from this one. Right? Browse. Var file. Where is the var file? Here. Open. Right? Now see that server console. When I do deploy here, what server is going to do? Just when I press this, Deploy. Deploying the web application archive. Now what is the meaning of it? It is also doing the same. It is just copying this into webin. See this. It is came into the webin format. Right? So like this. So this is the best way to do it. If you don't know the location, go with this, and everybody use this. Now what I can do here, I can make a request now. Open the browser, some other browser I am taking because it is already deployed, and through this browser I am just making a request. This is what? Internet Explorer, http:// localhost. These are my server IP colon 9090 slash my servlet website slash what is the file name? Welcome dot html. We're saying what? Wrong. Okay, it's not my servlet website, it is what? My servlet website 1. Now I can see welcome to servlets. Same thing. Just the difference is between yesterday's and today's is I just bundled it. Right? And this bundle I'm uploading. There's only difference. Now let us write one Java program then into this. Into the same my web application, I'm going to add my Java program. My servlet website 1. Now I'm going to add a Java program. File, new, Java. Now you will be understanding why this program should be written. There is one standard architecture is there to write this. Right? So you will be understanding later. So first you need to import some classes from Java X dot. Are you following me what I'm trying to explain here? Dot start servlet dot start, enough. A simple Java class, public class. Hello servlet. See here, Java program extends a class called as why it should be and all you will understand later. That's it. No main method because I'm not going to execute this program, but I'm going to add one method to this. Public void service. Are you following me? Servlet request. You will understand. Don't see this program. You are no need to understand what I am trying to write here. Nothing. A simple method, Java method with void return type and name is service. Just 1 or 2 lines of code I am writing. Response dot get writer. What does it mean? Each and every line I will explain here. Set content type. Not required. Print writer. Some reference name and just out.println. Hello from Java servlet program. Now first here, now can anybody say, can anybody explain this program? No, what it is going to do I am not asking. Just technical explanation of this program. Technical explanation of this program. Very simple, nothing is there, right? A Java class extending from some other class, inheritance. It has one instance method. And what is that instance method? Service method. It is an instance method which has two arguments. Now how to call this instance method? If you want to call this instance method of a class, what you need to do? Let's suppose if I ask you to call this method, how do you call this method? Absolutely, very simple. It's a Java class, and if you want to call the methods of a class, create the object and call it. It's not by service, it's fine, but you need to pass these two arguments. How you call the method of a class, guys, right? Create the object of the class and call the method. If the method takes some arguments, pass them. Simple, nothing is there. Now I just completed my class. Yeah, I just completed my class. Writing, nothing is there. A simple method with 3 statements inside it. Now, if you want to execute it, first thing is you need to compile it, save it and compile it. Already I saved it. The Java predefined class from IO package. Right? And I'm going to compile it. So where my class is saved? Where my class is saved? Java program. I saved my program inside what? My web application only. I don't think you need to explain all these things. Java C, same compiling. Java program, there is no change. Compile it. Saying what? Here one error throws you an exception called as IO exception. This method is throwing you an exception IO. It should be handled, checked exception. So I'm not interested to handle. So I'm going to put throws IO exception. At the same time, these servlet programs are also going to throw you one exception called as servlet exception. Right, servlet exception. Now let me compile. It is compiled. Right? It's compiled. Java program, normal Java program. That's it. But if you do this at your home, it will not be compiled, because if you want to compile this Java program, so this program uses some classes here, some kind of other classes, generic servlet or some kind of other classes. These classes will be there in some other jar file. You need to add that jar file to your class path. Same kind of in the JDBC. Whenever I have used the driver class oracle.jdbc, it is from some other jar file, right? I have added it. In the same way, you need to add this, but it is already added, I think. Echo percentile class path percentile. Now this is the jar file which should be there in your class path. If you want to compile your servlet programs, this is the jar file which should be there. What is this? What is the jar file name? It's not this is not the correct one. So this is the jar file name. What is the name of the jar file which should be there in your class path? This is the one. Servlet API.jar, same as OJDBC6.jar. If you want to compile, you should have this file in your class path. Let's see here what happens here. Now set, I'm writing here, set class path, very important thing, is equal to empty, nothing. Now let me compile it. Your program will not be compiled. See this? Because nothing is there in my class path. So this servlet exception, servlet request, servlet response, right, generic servlet, these are all from some other package, and this package which comes in the form of what? Servlet API.jar. So you should have that jar file in your class path. This is already discussed, jar files. So these classes will come in the form of some other jar file. You need to have them. Now already it is there in my system. It is permanent setting. This class path is permanently set in my system. That is the reason why I am able to compile it. See, this jar file is already added, permanent. It is already there in my class path. So echo class path means what? It is going to show you what is your class path. E colon. No, my program will compile now. E colon cd my servlet website 1. That is what, this is what my that jar file stored location. That is the reason why it is not required. This file will be generally available. Where this file will be available? Servlet API.jar. This file will be available in the Tomcat itself. Open the Tomcat installation location. See carefully Tomcat. There is a folder called as lib. Bin always contains executable files. Lib always contains Java files, jar files. Right? See this? This is the file. Servlet API.jar. Copy it. No problem. You can copy this to any location. Or directly you can set it into your class path. This location, entire location. C, program files, Apache, software, Tomcat, lib, entire location you can set it into your class path. Because it is already there now, it is compiled. My program will compile now. What is it? Java C, hello servlet dot Java. It's compiled. Now here is the important thing. Yes, that is the thing. If you want to set it permanently, go to the environment variables of my computer. Right click on it. See here, what is this? Now if you see this, your program is compiled. This is your Java file and your .class file. Both are there. Right? But the point is, what is the location for this .class file? What is the location of this .class file? This .class file should not be placed here. This .class file's location is inside the classes folder. I told you previously. For clear separation, you have given you separate folders. What is the location of your .class files? The .class file location is webinf classes. I just copied it because that is a servlet program .class file. The location of all .class files. Whatever the Java programs you will have in your web application, all Java programs location will be what? .class files location is classes folder only. First point here. After writing your Java program, after compiling, take your compiled Java class and place it into the classes folder. Able to see this? Just I moved that file because a specific location is given to it to be placed, and I'm placing it inside that location. Right? Yes or no? Able to follow me? Yes, that is the first thing. Just I placed it. Now the second thing you need to do is very important thing. Now how to access this welcome file here? How I have accessed this welcome file? Now if you see my URL in the browser, how to access that welcome file? http://localhost:9090/my servlet website 1/welcome.html, right? Yes or no? Now how to access a servlet program here? This is HTML file, directly you can access it. How to access servlet program? Can you access like this? Hello servlet .class. Is this the way to access this servlet program? You cannot access the servlet program by its name, Java class by its name, right? So for this there is some other mechanism is provided for us, not required for you now. Just remember, every servlet, whatever the servlet you have, every servlet needs to be an entry. You must have an entry for each and every servlet inside a file called as what? Web.xml. What is this entry and why should we have this entry? That we see later. This is where you have. So a servlet class cannot be directly called, unlike HTML file. How I am able to call HTML file by its name, but a servlet class cannot be called. See, this is the diagram I shown you, right? When you call the HTML file directly, The server is going to locate the HTML file and it is going to give this file back to what? Client. See this architecture here. Whenever you call the directly HTML file, the HTML file can be located directly by the server and it can be given back to what? To the client. Yes or no? But a web server cannot locate and a servlet directly, cannot execute it directly. It is not possible. It cannot directly locate it. Right? So you cannot call the servlet by using its name. So what is the meaning of this XML document? You will be understanding soon. Web app means what? Web application. So the name itself says web application. Entire information, because you are developing a web application, and a web application is a combination of what? Multiple web resources. Entire information about your web application you will be putting into one file, that is XML file. This is the file. Right? So let's suppose if you take a book, a simple example I am giving. If you take a book of 1000 pages, right? Each page has some different content. Now how you identify which content is placed in what page? Index, such kind of file, this one. It's not exactly the same, but such kind of file, some kind of index to your web application, where you will have all your web application related stuff you will be writing into this file. And this something I'm writing, no need to know what is this. You will be knowing this in the next sessions. Don't must think about this code. My basic intention inside this explanation is only one thing: how to create a servlet based web application and how to deploy it into a server, and how to call a servlet by using a request. That's it. By making a request. That's it. Nothing is required apart from this. I'm trying to add some content into this. Just name of the servlet which you want to execute, which you want a server to be executed. Name, any name you can give. I'm giving HELLO. Second tag is class. What is its class? What is the name of your dot class file name? Servlet class is nothing but dot class file name. What is my class file name? Hello servlet. Fine. This is one comma. This is one entry in your web.xml. One more is required. Mapping. How this will be mapped to your request. Yeah, it should be closed. If you don't close the things, it will not work. Every open tag must be closed. If you don't close the things, it will not work. And every open tag must be closed at the same level. That is also important. Level means what? First opened, last closed. Servlet is opened inside web app, it should be closed inside web app. Servlet name is opened inside servlet, it should be closed inside servlet. In the same order. If you are missing the order also, it will not work. Now one more here, because the same tag is required inside this also. Excuse me. Right, same tag is required, and the last one is URL pattern. Now if you use this latest servlet API, it's not required actually. This entire entry is not required. It's a simple mechanism is given by this servlet Java people, that is called as annotations. You can give any name, that's your choice. You want to keep your name, keep it, no problem. That's your choice. But just I'm taking standard. If I have every name same here, that is easy for me to identify. That is the reason why I have taken the same names. If I have everything is same entire, because lots of configuration I need to do. If I take the same kind of naming convention, it is easy for me to understand, identify in the future. Now, one thing you need to understand is, as I told you, you cannot call the servlet directly with its class name. How I have called the HTML and all, you cannot call them. Then how to call a servlet? You call a servlet by using this name URL pattern. There is one tag, and with this URL pattern you can call it. What is the URL pattern? Hello. When you call hello, when a end user enters this hello inside a browser, then the web server is going to execute the servlet with the name called as hello servlet, right? That is what. Just no need to remember. Just remember this name. Now I am done with my development of my web application. Now what is my web application? See this? My web application with one web resource called as welcome.html and one servlet class. Inside I placed it into classes folder, and the entry of this servlet I have inside web.xml file, right? Now what I need to do here, just as a programmer I completed develop my web application, right? I need to place it into the server. So if I want to place it into the server, what you need to do here? Bundle it. Just I'm doing the same process here. I want to bundle it. What is the command to bundle it? My servlet website one dot where add everything. Oh, it's wrong. I forgot the options here. CVF, create a file and show me the backend process with the name my servlet one dot where. So you can see here now. You can see entire content is added into Java file, actually not required the source code. WebInf, classes, servlet class, lib, web.xml, HTML. Now how many resources are there in your web application? One is HTML document, one is a Java program. And this HTML document can be called directly by using its name, whereas the Java program cannot be called. And instead Java program will be called by using its URL pattern. Done. Now I have generated my var file. A var file generation is nothing but I bundled entire stuff into one file. Now I need to upload this into my server, host it into the server. Now for this I am going to take the help of what? Tomcat console. I am going to take the help of what? See here. Already there is a web application with the same name. There is a same name. If there is a same folder with an existing name, if you have a folder with the name, right, you cannot create one more folder with the same name, right? Before that, deploying my new web application, I am going to undeploy the old one. I am going to remove the old one. What is my old one? This one. So here you can see undeploy. Undeploying means what? Removing. Deploying means what? Placing. Right? So here you can see undeployed. Now undeploying means what? From the server it is deleted. From the server it is deleted means what? Go to the Tomcats. Go to the Tomcats what? Web app folder. Check it. Undeploying means what? Removing from this location. See, is there any file with the name of my web servlet web application, my servlet website, but the web application I removed is what? Website 1. Right? See this? Now how many var files are there? One is new, one is my servlet website. Now I am going to deploy it. That var file which I have created, deployed, browse, where this var file e, open, deploy. Now go to the server's location. See how many var files you have now? 3. Previously it was not there. And go to the server console. You can check it also here. Now you have deployed. Now this is the one you have deployed it. Done. Now once your web application is deployed, now what next here? Now as a programmer you are done. As a programmer you are done with your task. You created your web application, you placed this web application into the server. Now any client who wants to access it, he can access. Now I am accessing it. The first resource, welcome.html. Is it wrong? It's not deployed. I think it is not properly deployed. There is a reason why it is giving you error. It's okay, saying okay, right? And with what name it is deployed? Yes, ERV. ELET. It's not ELET. Here I have extra E. Name I have given wrong. This is a welcome.html. Now how can I make a request to servlet? Now if you want to make a request to servlet, instead of its name you use this URL pattern. What is its URL pattern? HELLO. See here, what is the output I am getting? When I type HELLO here, what I am getting here? Whatever the code you have inside your program, this method is automatically executed. Yes or no? This method is automatically executed. This is the text I am getting, right? Yes or no? Who called this method? Who called this method? As I told you previously, as you said, if you want to call this method, you need to create an object for this class. Yes? Then only you can call it. Who created the object for this class? Who called this method? No, wait. I did not do anything. Automatically executed for me. Yes or no? Right? Now what is it, how it is happening and all, we try to understand later. That is latest story. It is latest story here. Now for more clarification, I am trying to write one more servlet here. Right? Now how many times I make a request here, I will see same output always. Right? I will see same output always. It is static, something like welcome.html. Then I said it is dynamic. Now for that, let me try to take one simple program to demonstrate this also dynamic. Now again I am doing the same thing from the beginning. Try to concentrate here. Right? Now try to concentrate here. So I am creating my again one more Java program. Right? Now if you want to create it, import the packages required for you. Java x dot servlet dot start public class date servlet. Just I'm taking one more class here with the name date servlet. Simple Java program. Extends inherited from a class, predefined class. This generic servlet is a predefined class. Generic servlet. Generic servlet. Now remove this. Nothing required because I am not responsible for executing this program. Right? Add the same methods, public void service method, servlet request, comma, servlet response, because they throw you an exceptions, because I'm going to add some code inside this method. So that code throws me an exception directly. I'm writing here itself, comma, servlet exception. Yeah, same. You can change this class from generic to HTTP. You can do that, no problem. Because HTTP servlet is a child class for generic servlet. It's entirely whatever I'm explaining, entirely depend on simple object orientation. Nothing is there inside this. Very simple object orientation. Again object orientation. Everywhere you see this. Don't much think about the code, guys. I'm going to explain each and every line later. The process I'm doing is just I'm showing you how to develop a web application Java based. I'm going to explain each and every concept later. I'm saying what? I'm not saying I don't explain, right? Don't much think about the code. Your concentration should be more on creating a web application, Java based web application, that means directory section and all, then deploying into the server, then accessing it. That is the only thing you require. That's it. What is out, what is print writer, nothing is required. In the next session we will be clarified with each and every statement. It's an executable file. Download it. Right? Just my intention of this program is whenever a user enters whenever a user submits a request to my program, this program is going to send a response. As part of its response, it is going to send what? Dynamic content, right? Dynamic HTML. Let's suppose println. Now I'm going to design entire HTML inside my servlet. Not required though, it works if you don't add these things, but when you develop the HTML, it is. Now I'm generating what? HTML dynamically. This is the meaning of dynamic HTML. I'm generating it. Now how I am generating it? Through my servlet. I'm generating my HTML through my servlet. Java code, right? A simple Java code to generate the HTML. Nothing special. Because whenever you write the Java code, every printing statement, whatever the statement you want to print onto the console, like a client's window, like location, that statement should be written inside what? Out.println, system.out.println, such kind of thing. It is very much similar to system.out.println, not out.println and all. Right? This is what? Now date d is equals to new, a data object. From what package? import.io.star, import java.util.star. Don't use stars, guys, it's not recommended. Now see here, nothing, very simple, the Java code and HTML code. Creating a data object, HTML, body, date, and this data object I am embedding with what? HTML code D. That's it. So this is the output, HTML document, and this document will be generated dynamically. This document will be generated dynamically when the request comes to this servlet. Now let me save my class date servlet dot java. Fine. I saved my program. Now as I told you, because servlet classes cannot be called directly from the browser, they should be called by the URL patterns, and if you want that to be happen, you need to have an entry inside what? Web.xml. I'm just copying and pasting it. Just for one more servlet I'm adding. I have added, but this information will be changes. One servlet with the name hello, the other servlet with date. What is this? Date servlet. That's your choice. Class should be same. Class name should be same here. This date and URL patterns your choice. As I told you, for now done. What I did here, I have developed a servlet and I have given an entry for about this servlet in the web.xml file. In my web.xml file. Now my web application designing is complete. But I need to bundle it. Before bundle it, I need to compile my newly added Java class. Yes. What is my newly added Java class to this program? New class. Date servlet, right? Compiled. It is successfully compiled. Right? My date servlet is compiled. See this. What I'm going to do here? Because again, same story. What I did previously. Take the .class file of it, cut it, paste in the classes folder. Now how many servlets you have here? Hello servlet, date servlet. This will be called by using a URL pattern called as hello. This will be called by using a URL pattern called as date. Simple. Now I'm removing the old bundle because I have a updated bundle. I have a updated class. Now I'm going to make my updated bundle. One second. Now I compiled my source code. Done. Then I located my class into the location. Then I'm bundling it. Same bundle. Now you can see here same process. If you do 100 times the same process. Compile your codes. Place them in the classes folder. After that, bundle all your stuff into one file. Right? Bundle all stuff into your one file. Now what is the difference between these two servlets is, in simple, this is always generates you static stuff, static, and this generates you what? Dynamic. What is the meaning of dynamic? HTML page. You can see the code here. The page will be generated dynamically. Previous one is also same, but you will see what is the meaning of this code. You will understand. Now I bundled it. The process is done. Then what I'm going to do here, I'm going to deploy it. Before deploy it, let me remove the old one from the server also. Undeploy it successfully and browse, select the new bundle, deploy it. Right? It's a huge task as a programmer need to be done. Now right, now go to again. Hello, it is there in my web application. Now the newly added servlet program is date. See this. You got the output, right? You got the output. What is this? What is this here? Monday, January 6, time is 9:16. This is the time of my machine. Because the program is running in my machine, it is the time it is displaying. And how this time is displayed? How this time is displayed? That is a very important point. What is the time you can see on this console now? What is the time you see on this browser? 21:16. Why 21:16? At the time of that request is made, my system time is what? 21:16. When I make one more request here, you will see what? You will see new time here. Right? 17:23, 17:31, 33. New time. With each request, I am getting a new time. How I am going to get this response? Now you can see this is what dynamic. Simple. It is simple to see, but actually it is not the kind. See here, when I am making a request, the time is given. Let me try with some other browser. What is this? /date. See what happened here? SERVE. SERVE. Right, see this? What is the time it is giving now? This browser, from this browser. It's a client, any client you can use. See this? Yes? You make one more request, any browser you can use. Any machine which is connected to my machine can access my web application. Any machine which is connected to my machine can access my web application. Absolutely. It's the wrong URL. Something is appended. See, 21 18 49 54. Now what is my servlet is doing? When I made a request, now if you see the code, what is my servlet code is doing here? Now this piece of code is generated dynamically with each request. See, this HTML will be generated, this HTML page. Nothing is there, it is a HTML page only. But the thing is, this HTML page will be generated dynamically. With each request, HTML page will be generated. And at the time of request is made, whatever the time is there, I am just displaying this time to show you. So this content will be generated dynamically. Who is generating this content dynamically? My servlet is doing. My servlet is generating the HTML page dynamically. And after generating this HTML page, this is what here. Now the client made a request. Client made a request. It is taken by HTTP server. It is given this request to what? This servlet engine. Now this servlet engine executed what program? This program called as what? Date servlet. Right? Date servlet is executed by this. And what is my date servlet this program is doing? It is generating this HTML document dynamically now. Nothing it is doing. Same as welcome.html, but welcome.html static. This date HTML is generated by your servlet dynamic. Once it is generated, that HTML document is given to your server, and the server is sending this back again. Simple. Nothing is there. The difference is static, dynamic. No. Servlet engine is the different one. This you understand next. That is the next concept. We try to understand the servlet engine later. So the question here is like did you understand the difference between yesterday's and today's? Yesterday also I developed a web application. I deployed it into the server. Today also I developed a web application. I deployed it into the server. Process is same. But the difference is I am using a different technology called as servlet technology to develop my web application. When I use servlet kind of technology to develop the web page will be dynamic. So you can develop the static web pages, fine, as well as what? Dynamic web pages. Today we have seen both. Hello servlet is static web page, and date servlet is dynamic. Both are actually dynamically generated only by the servlet, but the content, from the content point of view I am saying. So when the request is made to my servlet is creating the web page here. My servlet is creating the web page. When the request is made, it is creating the web page dynamically. Whenever a request comes to this, it creates the web page and it sends this web page back to what? Server. And to show you what is the meaning of dynamic, that is a simple reason I have appended a date. That's it. So with each time date is changing, at the request is sent, whenever the request is sent to my program, at the time it is generating that page, and it is giving me the time, generated time in simple. C22.4, 22.9. This is what dynamic. So this HTML document which is generated by your servlet is dynamic HTML. So that is what this is where your servlets are used to generate the dynamic HTMLs. Getting me? So same thing here. Let's suppose as we started, whenever a username password is given, simply the username password will be taken by your servlet. It is going to check with the backend system whether the user is exist or not. This is where your programming starts. If I go with the username and password, from the request, if the username password comes, this username and password will be taken by your servlet. It can check with the backend system, database and all. If the username is exist or if the user is exist, then it can generate this HTML document dynamically. If he is not exist, again it is going to generate some HTML document. There are two possible results. What are the two possible results for that example? Whether generate a success result. Success result means what? Generate the success page with the inbox and all. Otherwise generate a error page with error messages. Like if user is exist, generate one HTML document. If he is not exist, then generate some other HTML document with some kind of error messages. This is possible only with this kind of, this is where this technology is introduced. Are you getting here? So try to relate this example with what? Login. Whenever a username is given, password is given, that username will and password will be taken by your servlet. And if the user and password is correct, it is going to generate a correct HTML document. If the username and password is wrong, it is going to generate you a wrong HTML. One second. So are you followed this? So what is this? How to write this program and all later. Again, simple object oriented inside it. How to write this program and all. So your focus should be what is the meaning of dynamic web page? How we can generate. The second thing is what is the meaning of deploying a web application? That is the only thing is required for us. Nothing. Yeah. Tomorrow onwards will be user ID and all that we see. So this is what the application, whatever I'm going to what I did here. From tomorrow onwards we are not going to work with this kind of hard process. It is a huge process, right? As a programmer, if you think from the programmer's point of view, create a program, compile it, place into profiles into like locations wherever they they has to be placed, then bundle it, then after it deploy it is a huge process. So to automate all this process, you can go with the help of some other softwares. From tomorrow onwards, we'll be working with IDEs. But this process is standard. If you don't have IDEs and all, you must be able to work with this. Right? So from tomorrow onwards, this headache will not be there. But directly IDE is going to do all this stuff for you. Right? Why I need to mail this? You have video, right? In the video, everything is recorded. No problem. Right? So that is what you have for this today's session. Then tomorrow we try to understand how to write this program, what is the internal architecture of this and all. Tomorrow will be clarified with each and everything. Right? So I'm stopping this session today. Yeah. Entire thing, database, everything we'll see. Don't worry. Yeah. Good night. And